Well, thank you for joining me. I'd like to look at solving some quadratics when you have a left-hand side and a right-hand side to start with. So let's have a look at what I'm talking about here. Let's say we asked to solve k squared minus 6 equals negative k. So here we have a quadratic equation because we've got an x squared. This sort of indicates a quadratic equation here. Now, what we have to do is our first objective is to get everything to equal 0. So we have to take everything across to one side and leave nothing on the other side. So I'm going to take that negative k here and I'm going to put that negative k over on the other side of the equation. So that's my first objective, to get everything on one side of the equal sign. And you do that whenever you've got x's on each side or k's on each side. What you don't do, please don't divide. Only take terms across to be, unless it's rational. So let's take this negative k across, and we've got k squared minus 6. That was already there. And the minus k comes across to be plus k. Now, there's nothing on the right-hand side, and so we've got this equal to 0. That's our first objective. Well, I'm going to rearrange this because quadratics, ax squared plus bx plus c, and that's a negative 6. Now, because there's three terms, I'm going to go ahead and use the quadratic formula. So negative b plus and minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. And you can only do that when you've got a quadratic equal to 0. So then once you've got quadratic equals 0, then you could use your quadratic formula. Please don't use the quadratic formula if it doesn't equal 0. So a is 1. So a is 1. B is the coefficient of k. B is 1. So b is 1. And c is this constant here, negative 6. So let's go ahead and substitute. B is 1, so that's negative 1, plus and minus. B squared, which is 1 squared, minus 4 times. A is 1. C is negative 6. Right? C is negative 6. I'll just put here above it. Negative 6. All over 2 times A, 2 times 1. So we've got negative 1 plus and minus the square root of 1 plus 24 over 2. So negative 1 plus and minus square root of 25 all over 2. Square root of 25 is 5. So negative 1 plus and minus 5 all over 2. So let's do the negative 1 minus 5. Therefore, negative 1 minus 5 or negative 1 plus 5. So our two answers are k equals negative 3 or k equals 2. Now I use the quadratic formula. Keep in mind, if b squared minus 4ac happens to be a perfect square, which it does, it equals 25. If you end up with a perfect square underneath the square root sign, we could have factorised if we want. We could go back and factorise this quadratic equation, and two numbers that multiply to give 1 and add to give negative 6, 3 and negative 2, 3 and negative 2. So it's k plus 3 and it's k minus 2. We could have used that and said that therefore k plus 3 equals 0, so k equals negative 3. K minus 2 equals 0, therefore k equals 2. Remember, if we substituted these values back into the original equation, it would be true. Negative 3 squared minus 6 does equal negative 3. Just check 9 minus 6 is 3. Negative 3 is 3. That's true. If we use 2, we'd also get the same true answer. Okay, this is a tricky question. I hope this has helped. Remember the objective, and I'll put that up here in red. The objective is to get everything to one side. Let it equal to 0. You could use a quadratic formula, or you could factorize if you're good at factorizing. Remember, it will only factorize if that number is a perfect square. All right, I hope that this has helped. Until I talk again, stay happy.